Hello friends, welcome to Squared Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today I'll be creating some cute pages for the holiday planner section in my Franken planner. And I'm giving away the printables I'll be using as a freebie so you can follow along. So let's jump in. And I've got some glue and glue runner ready to go, along with some various washi tapes I may use, a couple of acrylic markers, this pair of scissors or any other cutting tool, these Happy Planner sticker books, and some cardstock paper to print on, which I'll use as the insert. Okay, so as you can see, I have a free printable there for a Healthy Holidays bingo page. The full size of the page itself is letter size, but to scale it down for classic, I went ahead and printed it at 80% just to make sure that it fit well in my planner. So right now I'm going to cut it down to size, and I basically measured across the page, found the middle point so that I can make sure I'm trimming off the same amount on all sides. So the width of a classic size page is 7 inches across by 9¼ inches down. So I basically just measured 3½ inches out from the center point to get a good margin on both sides for my classic size page, cut it down, and then just used the ruler on my cutter to cut the rest of the page down. And now I have a second printable that I'm giving away for free as well, which is an advent calendar for kindness or good deeds. I created this so that it would make it pretty easy to print on your printer and not get too stressed out about aligning the front and the back pages. I have some solid strips of color on the front side, and then on the back I have individual prompts for the calendar in little house shapes, which you will see in more detail as we go through. Right now, I'm just cutting them down to the individual houses that I'll be using for each of the days of the Advent. And any straight lines that I think I can exploit here on my guillotine cutter, I am using that just to make my life a little bit simpler. And then we'll get into the fussy cutting here in a second. I grabbed the idea for this calendar from a blogger who did a freebie, and I liked her idea. It just didn't like that there was too many steps in the process for me, so I kind of created my own based off of her original design, and then also came up with the colored strips on the front to just make life easier. So I did that. I also gathered some ideas for the good deeds from various sources, mostly on Pinterest, so not just one individual source. And I think I got a good collection of items here for this calendar. So as you can see, I am cutting down these houses individually, and each one has a little fold out area with the good deed for the day written already on there. We'll be folding that little section back and then using that to glue it to the page. You don't have to be super exact. This will mostly be hidden, anything here in the white. You'll really only see the house color unless you open up the flap. So I'll try to speed through this. Maybe I'll just jump ahead here because it does take me a little bit to do some of this fussy cutting. I think it was worth it though. I added a little chimney to some of the houses, and that's what's really taking the most time to cut out. But the rest of the houses are just a simple slanted roof house. You can see how the guillotine cutter really helped speed things along, cutting all the straight edges before I got to this step. So if you have some kind of cutter like that, I highly recommend doing that process to eliminate some of the extra cutting. I have my insert ready to go. I just punched it with my Happy Planner punch. The cardstock that I'm using is pretty lightweight, so my Happy Planner punch can punch through it. But normally I would use something else other than my Happy Planner punch for anything really thicker than what I have here. And I'm also preparing those little houses by folding that flap underneath. I haven't really worked out too much of the process of this, so you guys are going to be doing this with me. I think it's going to turn out really cute, but, you know, so... And I didn't want to go through this process more than once because I knew it was going to be somewhat time-consuming. Now I am just kind of arranging the houses to make it feel a little mixed up and a little more random. There is only one of the darker green rows, which means there's 5 dark green houses total. And the rest we have at least 9 to 10 more of either the red or the light green. So it is a little bit trickier to shuffle these without it looking kind of weird. I'll do my best, but I think in the end I end up with a couple of doubled up colors. No big whoop. I think it all looks really cute in the end, and you barely notice anything unless you're like me who always notices anything that's just a little bit not how I would do it. So you guys know my type A personality. Anywho, I ended up going back into my washi stash and grabbing out a roll of washi tape that has kind of like a gold speckle to it. And I'm going to use that to keep the doors of the houses closed. The cardstock is not super heavyweight, but heavyweight enough to kind of want to pop open unless I really hammer down the fold. So I'm just going to use a little bit of washi tape to keep them closed. It will be easy enough to flip open that panel with the washi tape being the only thing holding it down. I'm also using a glue stick to put these houses down, and I will say I don't think that was the best choice. I kind of knew it wasn't going to be, but I've recently ran out of my Tombow glue runner. I need to pick up some more refills, and I only have one paper like glue tape at my disposal that I'm not too familiar with. So I thought I would start with the glue stick, see if it was going to work, and it seemed like it was working at first, but as things dried up, I noticed that if the page bent, sometimes the glue would unstick. So definitely use something more permanent, like a glue runner type adhesive as a fairly sticky adhesion to make sure that the houses stick down pretty well. So I've got the first couple of rows in. I'm going to go back here and use that washi tape to, like I said, seal the doors. I was using it horizontally on the bottom row, but then decided that I needed to keep it vertical just for space saving reasons. So I'm going to go ahead and fix the bottom row here after I'm done cementing these 2 rows above it down with the washi. I went with this gold speckle because I didn't want it to be too distracting from the actual houses themselves. But you could go the other way. You could totally do this by adding some contrasting washi with lots of like pattern and Christmas pattern and make it even more festive than I ended up going with. And we'll move on to the next few rows. Again, I really didn't get too far past the idea of this, so I tried to leave a little bit of room in case I wanted to add some washi tape to the bottom of this, but I wasn't sure how tight it was going to be, including all of these houses going up the page, so I didn't want to leave too much room and then end up running out of space at the top. But what you guys luckily get to see is how I did it, and then if you want to make adjustments, you can before you do your own. So I think that the spacing ended up being pretty good in the end. Gave me enough room for a title at the top and a little bit of decor in and around. So you'll see that in the end once we set that part up. But again, like if you want to make an adjustment, you totally could. So the next step to this process is to give the houses a little bit of character. Now, the reason I didn't do this on the printable itself is due to the fact that, again, double-sided printing for most people is never an exact science. So I would hate to have like all the windows be shifted off once you were done. And I thought this would be a fairly simple exercise to do as part of the setup, adding some windows and doors into your houses. So I'm just using my acrylic marker for this, but you could totally use like a Sharpie if you want to do it that way, or you could use a gel pen with an opaque ink. That could totally work as well. I'm using the acrylic pens. I noticed that on the green houses, it really absorbed well to the house. But anything that was red, it sat on top of it a little bit and kind of needed to set up before it really was permanent on the house. I think that was just to do with the toner that I have on my printer. I have a laser printer, so the red color maybe just has a bit more toner to it, and therefore made it a little bit harder for the ink to absorb onto the house. And I'm just pretty much going with whatever I feel like on each of the houses, but trying to mix it up between some rounded shapes and some square shapes, some rectangles as well, and the quantity of little windows and doors that I'm adding in. I just want it to be cute and simple. I'm looking for something that has a little bit more of a simplified look to it. So that's what I'm drawing in there. And of course, it's not exact. Those squares could be a lot more square, if you know what I mean, especially because I'm using a fairly broad-tipped acrylic pen. And that comes into play later when you guys see how the lettering and the writing goes onto this layout. Of course, I never do anything without penciling it in because I make tons of mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and pencil in the last day or Christmas Day, as well as the title of this, which is Good Deeds Advent Calendar. Just fill that in, along with numbering the houses to make it a true Advent calendar. So again, I'm just going to pencil them in first. And then I was thinking it would be nice to add some of these stickers in and around just to jazz things up. Although it is a little bit tight around the edges of the houses, so I really don't have a lot of space for decor except for maybe near the top. So we'll see what we can do here. After trying out some various washi tapes, I ended up going with the green plaid washi. It has a close green tone to the houses, but was a little more spring green, if you will, versus a more subdued bluish green that I have there on the printable. But the stickers in this Merry and Bright mini sticker book have a variety of those greens that I think I can pull in for a majority of the stickers. So I have a couple of strips of the Christmas tree stickers there across the washi tape to kind of camouflage that brighter green tone. And then I just cut out the quote that was surrounding this Christmas tree to add a little something extra around the title. Also, I'm going to cut out some of these little holly pieces from the quote there and use those on the spread as well, just to give a little extra something to the page. And then finally I ended up going with the cream colored snowflakes on this side and just pepper those in on the top and on the bottom, reusing any trimmings that I thought I could on the top or bottom as needed. This one in particular is like a small 5-page sticker book from the Happy Planner, not a full-size sticker book. But as you can see, the styling of the stickers was pretty much identical to those Merry and Bright sticker books. And I picked this up over the summer, so hopefully it's still available. I'm sure that the bigger books will probably be sold out, but again, I will add anything that I can into the video description for you guys to purchase if you are looking for certain stickers or planner supplies. And here you can see I am writing in the title as well as numbering those houses now with the acrylic pen. Do kind of regret the choice of pen I used for the writing. I think I should have just used a fine liner. It was a fairly thick tipped pen and just made it a little bit bolder than I really wanted it to be. Worked great for the windows, but maybe just a little bit too much for the rest of the writing, but that's okay. I'm willing to just roll with it and overlook any, things that I don't think are perfect. I'm also going to erase all of those pencil lines, and as you can see too, some of the houses started to unstick at this point. Again, going back to that whole issue and preferring the glue runner over the glue stick. Okay, we've moved on to the front side of this insert, which again is another free printable as part of this video. I decided I wanted to focus a little bit more on having a healthy holiday. I've done it in the past, but it really just depends on what I've got going on, and I'm not sure yet how our holidays are going to play out. So I figured this would be a fun way to just keep it front of mind on how to remain healthy throughout the holidays. Don't overindulge every day with all of the baked treats and sweets that I'm sure are going to be around all season long. And also just to remind me to keep my health front and center throughout the season. So again, this is a free printable. It's pretty much all mapped out for you. So I'm just adding some extra decor to the tops and to the bottom for a little bit more of a festive feel. I actually really liked how this turned out. Happy that I went ahead and did a full printable, if you will, for this. I went back and forth on whether I was going to handwrite in the healthy habits to keep throughout the season, but instead just decided to have it all mapped out and part of the printable, which I, again, think was the best solution. So I've just added that little extra bit of oomph to the insert with those stickers, and now with a little bit of washi tape. And I, like I said, really liked how this one turned out in the end. So lots of cute suggestions for the season. Originally, I was thinking maybe to laminate this insert, but I think I'll just print another one next year if I want to, and physically mark off the things that I do, especially there on the bingo card, to denote the progress I'm making towards my healthy holidays bingo. Just going to do a couple of quick cleanup items as well as a little bit of an emphasis there with my white gel pen. And once I'm done with that, you guys, we will be done, friends. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also, too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.